I'm just so thankful. Our fellowship, I've learned so much about praying just from all of you. Really. I've just iron sharpness iron. And God hears our voices. That's for sure. So thank you so much for all those prayers. They made a difference. And who would like to start with a sharing that Scott said? Okay, Deborah, your hand went up first.
Okay. Well, I think everybody's seen The Chosen now, right? Everybody's familiar with that program. Okay.
Yep.
I support them financially. I donate to the Come and See organization that produces that, and they are translating that into 600 languages. And I thought, how is that possible? There aren't even 600 languages on the planet. And so I looked it up on the internet, and it said there's 7,000 languages. Who'd have thought?
Oh my God.
I just didn't think that was even possible. So yeah, and they're translating it. Well, some of the episodes they either if they can hire actors in that language, they will overdub so that the actors are speaking in that character's language, or they'll do subtitles, whichever they can do. But what I really wanted to get to was that on Sunday night, Dallas Jenkins and his whole crew did a program. Did you see it, Leesa, Sunday night?
No,
Okay.
I haven't been following them.
Okay. So what he did was he said, people have been asking me what's next. Because, The Chosen's only going to be 7 seasons. And they just wrapped filming 5. So he said, I wanted to share with you what's on our heart to do so that you can keep it in prayer. And I was just floored. He said, I want to do a television series on Moses. I want to do a series on Joseph. And I want to do a series on the book of Acts.
Yeah.
And when he said that, the first thing I thought of was Dr. Werewolf, because I'd heard him say on multiple occasions, boy, I wish this would make such a great television program, whenever he would be teaching in the book of Acts. And I just thought, oh God, you are so good to put that on this man. And my prayer is that God will lead him to people with accurate knowledge of the scriptures, so that it can be as biblically accurate as possible. So yeah, that's just what I wanted to share. I just think it's so exciting that they are bringing the story of Jesus Christ to countries who have never even heard of him, have no clue that God sent us a savior. The end.
Thank you, Deborah, for keeping us updated on that.
Yeah, you bet.
Who'd like to be next? Okay, Rosemary.
I am, if I can make a comment to Deborah's, Carol, quite a while back, made a comment on their chat line or whatever they have to communicate, and said, please consider doing the book of Acts.
Oh,
wow.
Interesting.
So, maybe she had some impact here. Isn't that pretty neat, though? I am presently still working on a foundational class. We're doing the collaterals. And what I listened to this week was salvation is permanent, as we all, as standing longtime believers, are very aware of. But I just wanted to bring up some of the words that God used that are particular to us. They only happen between Acts and Jude, when he calls us brothers of Jesus, partakers of the divine nature, adopted. He calls us born again. Those are just a couple of them, but how unique they were, and how unique it is that God's using those terms about his kids, because we spiritually have his seed. And he never used those terms, of course, in the Old Testament in regards to the servants. And I keep, the class after class, it just keeps intensifying the age of grace, how unique it is, how wonderful it is, and how God addresses us like no other group of people in the Bible, like I said, from Acts to Jude. The terminology is really dear, sweet. We're children, his children. And I was thinking, what a snub to the adversary. I don't know why this really jumped off the page at me the other day, but of course, when Jesus Christ was resurrected, the first thing he did was he went to Tartarus to the devil spirits that were involved in all the evil that happened before the flood, to let them know that he was up. And then if that wasn't all, now God has so many sons. And, just the terminology, I just think how the adversary must just like, oh, you have to say that word. Do you have to say that? And no less that our salvation is permanent. It is never coming out. No matter what you do, you cannot lose that seed. Like Adam blew it. He handed dominion and power over. Jesus Christ has regained that. And now we have Christ in us. And what a coup that was. What a sacred secret that God kept for such a long time. And we get to live it. And then lastly, but not least, God talks about the new body that we get. That's not talked about anywhere else when anybody else gets up. It's only the age of grace where they use that terminology. So people get resurrected, but it doesn't say they get a new body, but he does specifically say that about the age of grace. Amen.
Thank you so much, Rosemary. That's fascinating. That's wonderful. And I do have something to share tonight, and I want to follow you on that.
Sure.
We just finished First Chronicles in our chapter a day. And I think it was around chapter 17, where David wants to build the temple, and Nathan tells him, yeah, go ahead. And then he has to go back to him because God gives him more information. And there was something, around that time, and I don't know specifically what it was that made me think of this, but it's always fascinated me that Solomon is in the Christ line, that David and Bathsheba and everything that David did. And here Solomon is the next king, and he's in the Christ line. And so for some reason, I just thought of Romans 8:28 that says, and we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are the called according to his purpose. And that's from the New King James, and the NIV says of that verse, and we know that all things God works for the good of those who love him. And, God said of David that he's a man after his own heart, and how much when David was confronted with Bathsheba and Uriah, that whole thing, he repented. And so I got to thinking, and I'm like, okay, God chose David's son Solomon, and he had a lot of sons. David had a lot of sons to choose from. And in Matthew 1:6, it confirms that, Solomon from Bathsheba, Uriah's wife. And then I thought, but wait a minute, in Luke is Joseph's line, and he's from a different son of David. So, I wanted to check that out. Well, it's Nathan. And I go, who's Nathan's mom? So I go to First Chronicles 3:5. It's Bathsheba. So both lines, both the legal line, we were always taught that Joseph is the legal line, and the royal line through Mary is both sons are from David and Bathsheba together. And it just blew me away, legally and royally. And it just, that verse, Romans 8:28, God made good what had started bad. he brought good out of that. And don't ask me how I got to this verse in Genesis 50. It's where Joseph, the famines in Egypt, and Joseph is now going to tell his brothers, who he is. And in verse 20, he says, "As for you, you meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, in order to bring it about as it is this day, to save many people alive." And who more than Jesus Christ saved more lives and is saving more lives? I don't know if it touches you the way that it did me, but I was just thankful to see those little nuggets. That's where I get joy from, is those little nuggets that just bring it all alive and connect it all together. The New Testament, the Old Testament, and Jesus Christ right there in the middle. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for listening.
Awesome.
Who wants to be next? Okay, Charlie.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna get running off of yours. Some nice truth that Rita and I learned this week. We watched the American Health and Nutrition Roundtable on Fox Live yesterday, and it is quite revealing. And we know we're in a day and time where the adversary is really being exposed. And the medical and pharmaceutical industries and health industries have been under attack, not always for the right reasons, but there are some right reasons why they have been also. This was an assembly of top medical professionals and nutrition experts, and they are actually demanding changes to our American diet guidelines. Demanding. They're setting these before Congress. These need to be laws. Chronic illness in America is on the rise just in this century alone. And this health crisis, it spans all ages. America is being attacked in particular. Ingredients that go into a lot of American foods are far more toxic than those same foods made in America that are sent overseas, because they already are on to so much of the chemical use and the kind of ingredients that Americans use in their foods. They won't even allow them. So the question is, why are we fellow Americans harming each other like this? It reminds me of 3 John chapter 2 or verse 2, where it says, "I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospereth." Well, it's pretty logical that the better a man's health, the more he can do for God. And a healthy soul, which is our mind and our thinking, is also able to discern accurately truth from error. So why wouldn't the adversary want to work on breaking down our mind and our body? He knows he can't do anything spiritually, doesn't he? He knows he can't hurt us spiritually, but we still are in the world and we have body and soul. Once again, that spiritual contest is being exposed in the food and pharmaceutical industries in our country alone. It's amazing what we learned from this conference. Our food is making us sick, and the pharmacy is keeping us sick. If you're healthy, well, then neither one profits. Functional and organic disorder. This is a quote from one of the scientists on this program. Functional and organic disorder, or enervation, is a new word I've never heard of before, proportionately lessen the capacity for our thought, for our resolution, and our activity. In John's wish in 3 John, it's God's will that we make good choices or find a good way to preserve our being, and no one in the health and nutrition industry should ever be thought low of or criticized for looking out for your well-being. And that's something that's really coming more and more to light, is the health and nutrition industry is growing quite large because more people are getting it. We've been ripped off. Our poor bodies have been taking in foods and drugs that are not necessary and that are actually doing more harm than good. And these doctors, these pharmacists, and these scientists are speaking out about it because they see how wrong it is. It's quite eye-opening. We are essentially raising up a very unhealthy generation of sick and mindless individuals who have no regard for God or his people. Christians should be prosperous in body, soul, and spirit. The spiritual principalities in the health and food industries must be defeated. It's got to stop. And it starts with God's people who know a better way. So those are some really significant notes that I took from this conference. And we're both so blessed that people are speaking out more about it, because the adversary's been at work in so many different categories that the medical industry is definitely no different. But it's nice to know the truth, because the truth is what sets you free. The truth is what will help you redirect what your thinking is on these things that are said that this is the way to go. This is what you need for your illness. This is what you need to make you better. They don't care about you. They care about what's in their pocket. There's a lot of money in this. And don't we know that too from Ephesians, that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual principalities and powers. And so why would the medical field be any different? It's a very prosperous industry. So there's just food for thought.
Thank you, Charlie. The medical situation is the doctors aren't being taught anything about nutrition at all.
That's true.
And there's a lot of doctors that are now standing up and getting free from the medical organizations that have backed them all these years, and are speaking out and are getting educated about the food. And I've heard Robert Kennedy Jr. speak a couple of times. Yes. And I'm very impressed by him, and just love that, we're uniting, some from the Democrat and some from the Republican. I think it's just great. And those that don't want to unite, then they can fall away. So thank you very much, Charlie. Yes, I saw your hand up, Kevin. Yes.
Right. I'd like to just see if I can show you the end of the last thing I heard with Robert Kennedy, because it speaks to that. And he was talking, he had a lot to say about that. But at the end, there's a little light at the end of the tunnel. So I'm going to see if I can make this work without kind of improper.
Yeah, we've watched that. We've watched a couple things with him in it.
So let's see if I can, you'll be able to see this, first of all.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
A little bit.
And then we'll see if we can hear it too.
More easily. We'd lose weight. We'd have more energy. We'd have fewer tumors and longer lives. It's not all dark. Over the past 16 years, the government has banned 8 chemical additives that cause cancer, genetic damage, asthma, and many of the other health conditions, as tartrazine does. And you know what's interesting? All 8 of those crucial steps forward in our kids' health were taken under President Trump. But the Democrats, who claim to be all about healthcare, have stood by watching other countries ban these poisons and make our kids sick, asthmatic, hyperactive, and depressed. They left them on every supermarket shelf in America. They even used your tax money to put them in your kids' school lunch. So their big food and their big ag donors probably gave them all that golden handshake and the big money hug. And their big pharma donors probably called them up and thanked them also, because now they're going to make billions selling Adderall, Prozac, and rescue inhalers. Enough is enough. President Trump and I are going to stop the mass poisoning of American children. Together, we're going to make America healthy again.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's what it's all
great.
about.
Aha.
Yeah.
So, nice to know that President Trump is a part of it, but also that you got somebody, this, and again, hopefully America has a reset on that.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of research. Robert Kennedy Jr. has done a lot of research for a lot of years and has not gotten the recognition for it or an ear to listen. I heard him speak on the environment. He's an environmentalist, but he's not an environmentalist that you would expect. And I listened to his whole thing and how to reduce the carbon. His answer to reduce the carbon is that the planet will heal if you just feed the soil, and it will take the carbon out of the air. Feed the soil. And I was just like, oh my gosh, you're not going to hug a tree? You actually have a solution for this? So that was so encouraging.
Yes.
Thank you.
Can I make a comment, Lisa?
Yes, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
I love the chefs. One of the chefs, Jamie Oliver, is from England, came over, and this was a couple of years ago, and he had the food revolution going on. What he did was he was knocking on schools' doors and said, I will put a menu together of fresh ingredients. I will save you money. It'll be healthy and nutritious, and the children will like it. Let me in. He had very few responders that would allow him to do it. He was really kind of booted out, but he tried. And the system just wouldn't let him in.
Yeah, I got to tell you, they're starting with kids. Part of what we saw at this roundtable, there was actually couple of young ladies,
teenagers,
that spoke at the roundtable too, and how they're just so tired of at their schools, everywhere they go, all the commercials are being targeted. Junk, and it's just in their face all the time. I was surprised. It was this young lady, and she really did her research. And she said, the things that they make available in school now, in some colleges, this is what you have to eat. This is, you stay there, this is what you have to eat. And so she talked about a lot of those things. But then this woman that did the research, she showed, like Charlie was talking, some products like, say, McDonald's. And she showed the research. Here's McDonald's Biggie Fry in the UK. Here's one in the US. The one in the US, the ingredients was a whole page long. The one in the UK, there was 3 ingredients: potatoes, oil, and salt. And the salt was optional. They don't allow all that other crap in their foods. And she went through numerous different companies, and she does petitions to get them to stop. She gets a lot of signatures. That was really remarkable that she is going to that great length because it affected her at a young age, and she was having to have surgeries and on medication, all this. And by the time she was 21, she's like, oh, I can't do this anymore. How can I change this? And she started changing her diet, and then she started doing the research. It was just fascinating to hear these things, but to hear people from all different walks of life. There was professionals and there was just everyday people. Interestingly enough, this is a point that I want to get to. When I talked to Josh recently, and I was telling him that we had seen this round table, and I was telling about the McDonald's fries and the different things, and he goes, "Oh, Mom," she said, "that is always the talk in my generation. People are aware of all the bad things that are being put in the food, and but it's how to get around it is the hard thing." But coming from him, because he's not a real health nut, he just in the past several months started eating a little healthier, but it's not like it's been his main focus for a long time. But yet they're aware. They see these things online, and their eyes are opening to what is going on. Why are they trying to make us sick? Why? Because it's all about the money, and it's all about that. And it was just really something to hear from my son, who's not a real big health freak, but is just starting to recognize this himself, seeing some of these interviews that are being done. Him and his friends get to talking about it. I'm glad that they're including young people in these talks as well, because it's reaching every generation, and it needs to. And this is the big thing. We spend the most on health insurance and physical sicknesses and drugs than any other country, and we have the most sick people and the most deaths due to health issues and overweight than any other country. It is so I'm not going to swear backwards. It's just so it's spiritual. Obviously, we're in a spiritual competition, just like we are for people's lives. So it's really, and we didn't even turn it on. We were both, I was in my office, Charlie had gone outside, and all of a sudden I heard RFK, and I'm like, I mean JFK, yeah, RFK. And I'm like, RFK, and I'm like, what is he watching? And we were just pleasantly surprised at what we were learning from that. So yeah, I'm glad that you shared that. It's just fascinating, and it really is worth looking into, because we can change the trajectory of our whole lives if we get the proper nutrition and food in our bodies. And I'm done.
And what's amazing too is RFK,
I'll get to you, Dan.
And these other people are believers, and several of them said, we're in a spiritual contest.
Yeah.
They know it's spiritual.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So there is a way around it, and that is whole foods, meat, vegetables, and fruits. It's where the poisons are coming in is the processed foods, the packaged foods. Yep. So let's move on from this. And Dan.
Okay. Yeah. Sharon and I have been eating that way for 9 years now. Then, we're not eating processed foods. We're not eating gluten or sugar or grains or wheat or soy or any of that stuff. And it's really made a big difference. So I also wanted to bring up that Robert F. Kennedy Jr., he's a lawyer, and he's the one that put together and actually won the lawsuit against Monsanto. And Monsanto is, big in this destruction. And he's the one that made the big lawsuit against them. They've been sued for millions and millions. They finally sold to Bayer, the Bayer aspirin people, because there's nothing they could do for their name after what he did. So he's a tough character. And, if he gets on this thing with Trump, he's going to do a lot. He's going to do a lot. So anyway, enough about that. So at the last one of these we did, Deborah and I realized we were both taking this class, on the CERT class, and it's been such a blessing to be in this class together. So we park our cars right next to each other. We go in and we sit next to each other, and we're in groups together and stuff. And
nice.
So great to have my sister in Christ there. It's been real. So it's a tough class. And then our final is Monday night. That's our final. That's where we get a practical final plus, a paper thing. So you can pray for us. So they say if you don't overthink it, you'll pass. Of course, she and I both overthink things like crazy. Pray for us.
And we should take a photo of us in our hard hats and our outfits.
Yeah.
Please, yes, do that. Yes.
Yeah, do it.
And then, it's great for us to get together, face to face when we can. And so I think I'd like to do another brunch like we did when Rosemary was down, and we had a great time being together. I wonder if you guys would be open to that, you guys that are near here. And we're thinking of going maybe to Palm Isles Cafe here in Boynton. So it's a bit cheaper than
it's on Military Trail.
It's on Military Trail in Boynton Beach, in the Walmart shopping center and that shopping center. But I think it'd be great to get together again. So Would you guys
When?
like to do that?
When?
So well, I was thinking of 12th, Saturday, October 12th. But I was thinking of doing it that day. And I think Saturday would be better because some of us work and stuff like that. See if that'd be a good day for you guys. If it is, we can call Alan and Dahlia and other people and see if they'd like to join us. So I talked to several people about the word, and none of them want to do a Zoom thing. They all want to do a face-to-face thing. So maybe I can get them to come to a meal. But do you guys interested in that, Deborah?
Yeah, sure. Yes.
Would you like to do that with us?
And that's a good Saturday for me as well because I do a class on the first Saturday of the month, and I have a group that meets on the fourth Saturday of the month. So the second Saturday is perfect.
Okay.
Who did you ask if they wanted to do it? Dan, who'd you ask?
Argentina. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to do that on the 12th?
On the 12th? Yeah, sure.
Okay.
So October 12th, what time?
Yeah. What time do we want to do? What time do we do before? About 10? Is that a good time or should it be earlier?
For breakfast? Okay.
Yeah.
What's the name of the place again?
It's called the Palm Isle Cafe.
No,
Okay.
No, it's called the Palms. Yeah, the Palms Cafe is what it's called. Palms Diner.
Palm Diner.
Sorry, yeah, the Palms Diner.
And that's in Boynton Beach?
Yeah, Boynton Beach. It's at
Military Trail and Boynton Beach Boulevard in the Walmart Center.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What time you want to do that?
10 o'clock. Is that good?
That'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. Good. So invite people send me an email, let me know who, if you've invited someone, if they actually think they might come, let us know. So, what it'll do, I'll go there early and get a table and, reserve the space. And then when people come, we'll have a place to sit. That's sort of how they do it there for larger groups. Somebody comes early and reserves the table. So
it's 9860 South Military Trail.
okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Hey, that sounds fun. Glad it's coming together. Yes, Kevin.
Can I indulge me just for one more thing about the food? Wendy and I were at a place with Carrie this morning, her sister-in-law, and she said there's an app that you can put on your phone. We got it called Eula.
Yuka.
That's a K?
It's a K.
YUKA. And when you put the app on your phone, you can put up the barcode on any food you're looking at, and it'll rate what's good in it, what's bad in it. And it gives you a red, yellow, or green for the different ingredients. And it saves you a lot of time knowing what's good and bad.
Sweet. And give you alternatives.
And give the alternative, yeah. If you like, not Heinz, get Hunt's.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever, yeah.
That sounds pretty cool.
That must be what our son David and Amber have done before. They've done that. Yeah. So it works.
Oh, I just thought of something.
Were you done, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Deborah.
Well, Wendy told me this because we're prayer partners, but a lot of you know Kevin Carter. He has taught our fellowship, right? You may not all know that their daughter is pregnant with twins.
Awesome.
That's sweet. Yeah, they already have 3, so 2 more on the way. So yeah, you can keep her in your prayers.
That's great.
Yeah.
Wendy, how did your interviews go?
My interview went pretty well, but I'm kind of backing away from that because my coworker and friend Alex is also interviewing for the same job, and there's only one position, and I want him to have it. So he's got kids to support, although I've got kids to support too, but it's different.
And chickens.
And chickens. Well, so he's having another interview tomorrow. Now, I applied for another role in the company. They haven't interviewed me for that yet. And there's a third role that hasn't been posted yet that I know is coming that I plan to post for. So, maybe they're also reorganizing the company in certain ways, and they're going to have a bunch of announcements on the 1st of October. So it's possible there may be other openings coming.
Excellent. Okay, we'll keep that in our
The
prayers.
same company that you were working for, or is this a brand new one?
Same company. I'm still working there. I'm working there till the end of October. So hopefully I'll find a job internally and I won't get terminated.
You're in our prayers.
Mhm.
We know that you'll get what you want.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what I want, but God knows what I want and what I
Yeah,
need.
for
I'm sure
Yeah.
he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
He got me this one, so he's
Uh-huh.
going to get me the next one.
Yep, for sure.
Yeah. And I have
Is it-
another thing.
Go ahead. Mhm.
I went to the doctor this morning for a follow-up from the surgery from 6 months ago. Clean bill of health.
Yes, praise God.
God,
No tumors, no nothing. All's well.
fabulous.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say or share? Yes, share.
Yeah, I want to play a song for everybody. So it's the first time that I'm screen sharing. So I'll do my best with Dan's guidance.
Okay.
Yeah.
Silent night, the world is fast asleep. Heaven's light shines down on earth so deep. Wandering souls lost in the dark are gently held by a glowing spark. Hope rises up in the hearts we've long lost. The feet that had stumbled now move on with trust. God's love surrounds us, forever near, and peace on earth is drawing near. Glory in the highest, peace on earth, a gift to all, a priceless worth, lifting the sorrow, casting out fear. We sing together loud and clear. Glory in the highest, peace on earth. Tonight new hope begins to birth. A world so cold, cries we cannot hear. Lonely hearts weighed down by fear. We lift each other hand in hand, spreading light across the land. Your tears are mine, my prayers for you. We heal the pain as we make it through. In all our struggles we stand side by side, and peace on earth will now abide. Glory in the highest, peace on earth, a gift to all, a priceless worth, lifting the sorrow, casting out fear. We sing together loud and clear. Glory in the highest, peace on earth. Tonight new hope begins to birth. The winds may blow and the world may shake. Within our hearts a light won't break. In the silent night, as we look around, together we are lifting the sorrow, casting out fear. We sing together loud and clear. Glory in the highest, peace on earth. Tonight new hope begins to birth. Glory in the highest, peace on earth. A gift to all the priceless worth. Lifting the sorrow, casting out fear. We sing together loud and clear. Glory in the highest, peace on earth. Tonight new hope begins to birth.
You share. That was beautiful. I did not expect his voice to sound like that.
Yep.
Well, I still think it was nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it was.
Yes, lovely lyrics too.
Yep.
Anybody else have anything they'd like to say or share?
One last thing.
Okay.
I've also meant to tell you when I was talking about Dallas Jenkins that they made a movie that will be out in December called The Greatest Christmas Pageant Ever, and it's a comedy. It's actually a book that they used to read to their children when they were small, and they love the story so much that he tried for years and years and years to get the rights to make the movie, and he finally got the rights. And so I've seen a couple trailers. It's hysterical. So, I don't know what it's like in your area, but a senior ticket in my area only costs $6.50. So you might want to treat yourself and go enjoy it.
Thank you, Deborah. And speaking of movies, Dinesh D'Souza is coming out with a movie, I believe, tomorrow. It's about President Trump. And
12th.
On the 29th, I think in Washington, D.C., there's another name for it, but jointheresistant.org. Jointheresistant.org will give you details about it. In Washington, D.C., Robert Kennedy Jr. is supposed to speak. Jordan Peterson is supposed to speak. Tulsi Gabbard, am I saying her name right? She's supposed to speak, and I don't know who else. So I believe it's the 29th. So those are things that I've heard in the going around the internet, not in the news, didn't hear it from the news, either one of those. But yeah.
There was a movie that came out September 11th or 12th. Does anybody know what that is, or did they go see it?
Was it City of Hope or City of Dreams? The one about child trafficking?
No,
No.
I don't think so.
What did it share?
Sound of Freedom.
No, that's
No.
yeah.
I think it was Sounds of Freedom.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Well, isn't that the one
look it
about
up
the
and
trafficking, though?
You can look it up, and if it was different, you can text, people about it. Yep, we're almost out of time. I'd like to have a word of prayer before we say goodnight.